what's up guys? So I want to start off by saying this is the video series that we're going to start on Unit 5. To start off, we're going to be looking at 5.1 and we're going to be looking at something that you've already seen before, but we're going to make sure to double back to it. It's something called the Pythagorean Theorem. So I know if I have the Pythagorean Theorem, I know a squared plus b squared equals c squared, and this only works with a right triangle. So if you look right now, this is going to be a right angle. Only works with a right triangle. So the one thing you'll need to know is that the a and b are always going to be your legs. So these two guys right here, so this dude right here and this dude right here is going to be your leg. And then c is always going to be something called the hypotenuse. Always the long leg, opposite of the 90-degree angle. So c is always going to be your hypotenuse. And so when we plug these side lengths in and we solve the formula, I am then going to be able to figure out which one of these is going to be the side length I need to find, okay? So we're going to take this concept and we're going to put it into our examples down low, and hopefully it'll show you how to do this, okay? Let's jump over to example number 1. All right, so looking at example number 1, it's saying I need to find the value of x. So what you see here is I have a right triangle. So automatically, if I have a missing side length, I should automatically know, oh, I can use Pythagorean theorem. So I should write a squared plus b squared equals c squared, okay? And so now I just plug in what I know. I know the two legs are the a and b. So if I look, this is my hypotenuse. This is always going to be the c value. So the other two pieces are your legs. It does not matter where I plug it in. So I'm going to plug in 6 for the a and b for the 8. So it's going to be 6 squared plus 8 squared equals c squared. So c is what I'm finding here. And so now I just need to figure this out. So 6 times 6 will be 36. 8 times 8 will be 64. 64 and 36 will add up to 100. And now the opposite operation of squaring something is taking the square root of each side. So the square root is going to cancel the square, and the square root of 100 would then be 10. So my answer for x, or my third side, is going to be 10. So that is how to find the hypotenuse using the Pythagorean theorem, okay? Let's jump over to example number 2. Okay, so look at example number 2. It says we need to find the value of x. And so right now, if we look, I have a right triangle here. So I should already know if I need to find one side length, I can use Pythagorean theorem. So I'm automatically going to write that down. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. I know that the c value is always going to be the hypotenuse. So right now, opposite of my 90-degree angle is always going to be the long leg. So that is going to be the c value. Now, it does not matter where I plug these into because that's the a and b, so it doesn't matter where I plug those in. So right now, I know 12 is in for the c, so I'm going to put 12 squared, and then I'm going to plug in the other two where they go. So I'm going to go ahead and make a into x, and I'm going to turn b into 6, okay? So here we go. So that's going to give me x squared plus 36 equals 144. If I want to get the x by itself, I have to subtract 36 on both sides, okay? So I'm going to take from the 4, so that should end up giving me, what, 8, and then should give me 10, so 108, okay? And so now, in order to get rid of the squared, I'm going to take the square root of both sides. So the square root of squared is going to cancel, so I am going to do the square root of 108. And so the square root of 108 is going to be about 10.3. So ladies and gentlemen, that is how you find the value of x whenever it is a side or a leg length, okay? Let's jump over to example number 3. All right, so looking at example number 3, it says I need to find the value of x right now. So if I look, it looks like I have a perpendicular bisector here. Because look, it's bisecting my side. This means it's congruent to that. So if the whole thing is 10, that means this right here is going to be 5. And so now I can find the missing side by using Pythagorean theorem. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. I know my hypotenuse is always the c value, so that's going to be 13 squared. And then I can plug the x and the 5 into my equation here. So I'm going to make this x squared. I'm going to make this 5 squared. So 5 times 5 is 25. 13 times 13 should be 169. Let me make sure. Which should be 169. Now I gotta get the x's by themselves. So I'm gonna subtract 25 on both sides. So that'll give me x squared equals, so that would cancel. So that'll give me 4, would be 144. And then I'm gonna take the square root of both sides in order to get rid of that squared. So x is gonna be equal to 12. And I'm done, ladies and gentlemen. That's how you use Pythagorean theorem to find the missing side length. Let's jump over to our last example on number 4. So on number 4, it says a suitcase measures 24 inches long and the diagonal is 30 inches long. So let's say, for instance, I have a suitcase. I'm gonna put a little handle up here for a suitcase. Hey, there's my suitcase. So it says the suitcase measures 24 inches long, so this is 24. And the diagonal, so from corner to corner, is going to be 30. And so now it says how much material is needed to cover the side of the suitcase. So if I have a suitcase and it's a rectangle, I know length times width will give me the surface area. Well, if you look, I don't have my length here. So I need to first find my length because I have a right triangle here. Or I need to find my width. So let's go ahead and find that. So I know this is my hypotenuse. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So 24 and x will go in for a and b. So 24 squared plus x squared is equal to 30 squared. So 24 times 24 is going to give you 576 plus x squared gives me, and 30 times 30 should be 900, is going to be 900. And then I have to subtract 576 on both sides to end up giving me my x by itself, right? So 900 minus 576 is going to end up giving me 324. And then now to get the x by itself, I got to take the square root of both sides. So x is going to equal whatever the square root of 324 is going to give me 18. So now I know that x is going to be 18, so my length is 18. But now that's not my final answer. In this example, it's saying I need to find how much material I need to cover the side of the suitcase. So I need to find area. So now I have to do 18 times 24. So 18 times 24 is going to give me 432, and that would be units squared, because that's how much material would end up having to cover that, okay? So this is Pythagorean theorem. And so what you're going to do now is you're going to take this information and you're going to apply it to your problems that you're going to work in Schoology, okay? If you have any questions, please ask the teacher in class, or you can message me on Schoology. Hopefully I can help you out. Good luck.